Hey guys, so I promised when I built my tow bar that I would post a how-to video at some point. And it's taken me a while just because I had to get caught up on everything, but I'm at the point to do one now, so I'm gonna kind of walk through that. I just want to preface this by saying that this isn't going to be a total how-to. I'm going to assume you already have metalworking skills and that sort of stuff. I'm just going to give you the dimensions and exactly how I assemble it all and all that good stuff. So if you don't already know how to cut and weld metal and all that sort of stuff, then this probably isn't a project that you should be. With that said, I'm gonna start with the tools that I use, and then we'll go through top and bottom assembly, and then how to do the electronics to finish it all up. As always, if you got any questions, let me know. All right, so to begin with, I use 4 different kinds of material for this. Well, actually 5. 1/2 inch pipe, 1 inch square tube, 3/4 square tube, 1 by 1 by 1/8 angle. Tools you're gonna need: you need a chop saw, you're gonna need an angle grinder. You'll definitely need a welder. You're gonna need a drill press to drill your holes. I use some additional things. I use a CNC plasma table for most of the holes, and I cut down the axle brackets just to keep everything the same. And then I've got a blasting cabinet that I also use.
So you're going to need a 3D printer to print the box. This thing is currently printing the left side handlebar. I make those just because I want them a little smaller than what I can buy.
And if you want to etch the tail number on, you'll need a laser. And then I use a tube bender to put the bend. All right, so building a top, you need a 30-inch piece of 3/4 inch square tube, a 10-inch piece of a 1/2 inch pipe. Again, I use jigs for everything. So for mine, it's like this. And that. And then I weld it right here. So this hole is where I put the wire for the motor in. Comes out here, and then this is where the pin is. This one got messed up. Moved a little bit all the plastic with the strap now. This is what a finished one looks like when done correctly. Once we get, the next step is to bend it. I make a mark. You see right here at 16 inches, and that's what I have come up against the edge right here of my tube bender. I'm doing this one-handed, so that one on the cameras. The work is, it's not as easy that way. All right, so you can see, I don't know, you should be able to see the little mark right there. That's where I get this lined up. And then I'm gonna bend this to 25 degrees. The original ones I was doing at 30 degrees, but I found that with the ovations, that ended up interfering with the spinner. So I'm doing 25 now. So, button. And that puts us at 25 degrees. Loosen this up a little bit. And that gives us our bent piece. So, originally what I was doing was I was taking 2 15-inch pieces and cutting them at a 15-degree angle. But again, I found that 30 degrees ended up being too much for the ovation. So if you're gonna cut and weld it, I would cut it at 12 or 12 and a half, and then weld the 2 pieces together. I like doing the bend because it's faster and it looks a little better and it's easier to run the wire through it. So once it's bent, the next step is to powder coat it. And for the top, there's a 2-step powder coat process so that I can do the etching. So the first step is to do the white, which you see here. And then once I've done the white, then I cover it with black. And then we use the laser to etch, to burn the black off and expose the white. So putting the tow bar itself together, the first thing we need to do is make our axle bracket, because we're going to need this when we put our bottom. So that starts off as 5 pieces of 6-inch 1 by 1 by 1/18 angle iron and a 6-inch piece of 3/4. And then I use this jig. Doesn't mean they're perfect, it means they're all equally imperfect. So on the plasma cutter, I cut these down. I cut the hole and then cut one side down to 3/4 inch. And then when I go to the bench grinder, I round off the sharp edge. So to build the axle bracket, use this big cassette. We end up with is well, the air So then the next part is to put the bottom together. It's 7-inch piece of 3/4-inch pipe. Then we've got a 3-inch and a 4-inch piece of 1-inch square tube. And interestingly, this can go the other either way. Fits this way, 4-inch there, a 3-inch here. It also fits with the 4-inch up here, a 3-inch down here. This is the way I put it together, not because it really matters one way or the other, just the way I do it. So once we have this all in, and then this is the rest of the board. So once we have all this all in, I welded here, and put a tack right on the corner there. And then the axle bracket goes right in here, and these two pieces up. And then the next thing is the piece that goes on for the supports for the axle to keep the wheel from bending back and losing tension. So this is also a 6-inch piece of angle iron, but I cut this one side down to 7/8 on the plasma, and then rounded the sharp edges off. And when I set it on here, and then the last thing is the slotted plate, which is also made on the plasma cutter. And then these holes here are the ones that we're going to run the motor wire through, and then this is the one that the spray clip goes in. So once we get all this stuff tacked on in the jig, we'll pull it out, put these on, all in. Like I said, this is raised up a little bit so you can see down here that it doesn't stick past the edge of this. So that's why I trim this down and tilt it up. So, and then to set these on, I just put them on here like this, hold it in place, equal at the bottom right there, and try to weld along here. So that's the bottom piece all welded up. Well, here, all these welds. Well, I needed these welded there and there. This time. But that's what it looks like, all welded up. And from here, you go to the sandblaster, and I'm going to blast these. And even though they're clean, since we use the MIG, I'm still going to blast a little bit of discoloration and any smoke, get it off of there. So powder coat will hold better. This is how it looks out of the blaster. You can see it just pops the smoky stuff off around all the welds. This will just make it easier for the powder coat. But once it's been powder coated with the two coats, the white and the black, and come over to the laser and etch the tail number on it. Use light burn with the software. And I had to do this in 2 steps, otherwise I burn through both layers of powder coating to the and expose the metal. So I do the first step at 750 millimeters per second and 85%, and then on the second step at 2,000. And I do use the air assist to blow the smoke out of the spare seat. So this is how it looks after the first test. You see the light's not very bright. Second test, the light might be first. So if you watch the second test, though, you can see, and with that said, a little bit. And if I just can't do it all at one time, or leave it burning all the way through. Right, so we're going to put the top together now. The first thing we need to do is run the wire through it for the motor. That just goes right in one hole. Then we add a couple of grommets to protect the wire. So we put these 2 grommets in to protect the wire. And then we're going to add connectors so that to put the male on here. Now, there's no right or wrong way to put these on. Now, I do these all the same way just to standardize everything so that try to replace something, everything's interchangeable. So I put the male on top part of the tow bar, and I put the female on the motor. So when you get these crimped on, you want to make sure that it's crimped onto the wire, to the jack and insulation there, and also onto the wire. And give it a good honest tug to make sure that it's on there. Commencing to put it together, you got to put the little rubber backer on. And then on this side, I like to put the red on the right side when you're looking at it on the front top there. And then on the motor, I put the red on the left side when you're looking at it the same way. That way the reds go together and the blacks go together. And then it doesn't really matter how you do it. You do it however you want. This is just how I do it to make sure that they're all consistent. So last part you're going to do is get this little PC to hold the thing in place. See it? It's just in right there. And I'm using these spring pins here to hold it together. So put that in. This goes out to the top piece. So you just kind of stick it in there like that. And then I'm using a pair of long thin needle nose to slide me into place, and it pops in like that. So this will keep the top and bottom together. So now on this end, a little bit on, I'm going to cut this down some. We're going to crimp a couple of male pleats on here also. But I'm not going to put the connects on yet. Just going to pull it into the box before we do that. So again, you make sure that it's crimped to the insulation and to the wire. Give it a good honest tug to make sure it's in place. So next thing we need to do is actually we're going to go ahead and get the handlebars put on. So this side, I use this, which I print on the 3D printer. It's made out of TPU, so it's flexible. I spray a little bit of silicone lube in there. Just a little bit of silicone lube. Just to help it go on. Usually you can just twist it on. Sometimes you got to get a little mount like this and just kind of tap that. And then on the right side, I put the twist dollar control. This comes with a really long wire on it, and I cut it down to this size. And even that's going to end up being a little bit too long. I'll cut some off of there. This goes on here. And then you get a 2.5 millimeter hex wrench to tighten this in place. And then I move this out of the way. The next thing I want to do is I want to put the wire protecting grommets on here and mount the batteries to the box, control box. So for where the wires go through, I use these that already have the holes in them. But they end up being pretty good space in there. I'm pushing in. I don't know if you can see it in there. There's a little spot right there where it doesn't quite come through, and I just take a kick and just pull it, and that'll put it in place. Copy the place at the click. And then on the bottom, I use one of these grommets. Sag that, just push it in place, and then grab it, eat it. So this box is made on the 3D printer. They're custom depending on which types of batteries we're doing. This one's going to get rigid batteries, so we're going to need the power switch on it. Some of them have the power switch on the battery holders. On those, I don't put another power switch on the box because I think you need to have power switches. So the rigids, they don't have any mounting holes on them, so what I have to do is disassemble these, drill some holes, and then so it just comes apart, take the screws out, or we'll just kind of set it about there, or not, and then mark this. See, right, early between finger. And sure that matches up. It's pretty good. A little bit higher there. And then we're gonna do the transfer those holes over to here and like that.
and look over to the same thing.
All right, so this side's gonna go, is where the switch is gonna go. So I'm gonna put a connector on this side. These black and red are gonna tie together. So that we'll wire this in series, so that we're gonna turn this 18 volts into 36 volts. And then this will go to the negative power on the control box. So we'll go ahead and push this in. Put this in. And you go ahead and put the connectors on before I put these in. Because we won't want any work with it outside of the box. We're just going to use a female spade connector. Like with everything, I'm going to crimp it and give it a good tug to make sure that it's actually in place. You haven't just that in. This I'm going to go ahead and strip if we're even wire nut it, and like I said, it's just easier. No more room outside of the box to do that. Push that in. Take our negative from the other side, put it right about there. Set it. Put these together and taking the wire nut on. Get it upside. Okay, see how we're going to mount the box. So I got these little brackets and I made them on the 3D printer with a box. Select that on and finish the box up. Bring that up a little bit. There. Right about there's good. Top mount it first. Okay, so we got this on, and we're not ready to stick these in yet, but I am going to go ahead and cut this little grommet. And just cut the lines there so we can stick it in right in the blade. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our box set up. This is the control box. It's for an electric bike or an electric scooter. These are all more or less the same. Most of them have labels on here to tell you what's what, and they have the connectors wired labeled as well. And this is all in Chinese, so it doesn't really help all that much, but the connectors themselves have labels on. So there's only 4 wires on here that we need, though. The rest of it's going to be junk, or not, just unused. This is the power in, the red and the black. The yellow and blue is going to be the power out when you twist. So this will be variable power. This blue and red is the power on off for this. You could wire a switch to this. I wire the switch to the batteries instead. I just prefer to turn the batteries off rather than turning this on and off. You can do it either way, but that's just the way I've been doing it. And this is what goes to the twist throttle controls. So none of these connectors are what we need. So we're gonna cut them off. And we're gonna start at the power, which is a red-blue. The color codes may not be the same on all of these, so you'll have to read the switches or whatever. I just twist those together and used one of these little crimps to hold it. I never could find a wire nut that was small enough that really worked well, so I just tack this on instead. And then give it a good tug like we do with everything else. And then these are going to get valve pins on. What nut? Actually, not this. Red's going to end up having a little wire connecting to it. We're just going to strip that a little bit long. The black's going to be a nail spade connector. And these. Pin cut. The tug. And the yellow and blue vein. So as always, you want to check and make sure that it's crimped onto the insulation and onto the wire, and give it a good tug. This one is easy to get. This connector, say we're going to put the blue in where the little angle is, and the yellow is going to go on the other side. And this will run up to our reversing switch. So I have these little adapters that I made for this to mount it in here. And the reason is because this has got a hole in the center and these have the holes on the side. But you see there's a little depression in here. So once we put it on, it lets this sit a little bit lower, which gives us a little more clearance in here. So turn this upside down. And we're gonna screw this on. So now we're gonna run the wire in for the twist paddle control, and I see it's still a little bit too long. So we're gonna cut it right about there, and actually strip the jacket off, the outer jacket, and then I already stripped these three. These are really thin wires, so you're gonna need a set of thin arrow strippers. I use a 26" with threaded beams. And so again, the color codes aren't going to match up exactly on this. This has got white, this has got blue, and these will be different. Sometimes this will be green, sometimes it'll be blue, sometimes it's yellow. It just depends on which twist auto you get. The important thing is that red goes to red, black goes to black, and then whatever's left over goes together. So the white and the blue are going to go together. And again, I haven't found a wire nut small enough. I'm sure they're out there. I just haven't found one. So I just print these together. If you need to swap them out, then just cut them in the print lane. Right, so now that all of these are on, I'm going to go ahead and put the control box in. So you just push it over those pins, and then they're going to use the number 8 by 1/2 inch screws, screwing in place. Right, so I'm going to add my switch in now. Just connect this spade connector to really doesn't matter, bottom top. I do it on the bottom just because it makes it a little bit easier for me to connect the pieces later. I need to make a little jumper cable for the that to the T's. And as always, we're in the tug. We're going to go ahead and connect this to the bottom of the fuse holder. And then I'm going to jumper that over to the switch. See, I go from there to there. I'm going to push the fuse holder in place. Put our fuse in. So we can start stuffing some of this stuff out of the way. I'll be good with this stuff. Anyway, actually, let's stick this down low. Run that down along the side. On negative, we're going to put a spade connector on. Cranking tug. This thing get pushed to the edge, going to be cranking some. Cut something and pry it back into the center here. I've already connected this. Trim that symmetric. Cut that down out of play. We're going to go ahead and connect our positive now. So I need to, like I said earlier, we're going to connect another wire to that. So this is not quite long enough to reach. Wire nut these together. And just for room in the box, I like to set it so that the wire nut down and these take this space down here. Run it about like that. There. And the female spade connector. And but tug it. Undo the fuse holder. And then, so that takes care of most everything. And we're going to go ahead and push these pins in now. you use this connector for that. I use different connectors just to make sure that you don't end up accidentally plugging the wrong thing in the wrong place. So I like to put the red in the round one and the black in the one that's got the flat spot on it. You can do whatever you want, just as long as you're consistent with it. So go ahead and pop that on there and set this up other piece. And now we're going to put in our reversing switch, which is base right here. Slide this in. That all the way in. So these two wires are going to go to the motor control, and these two are going to go to the wires that come off of the control box. So they're a little bit long. Cut a little bit off of one. And all four of these are going to get female wall-lights pins curve tuning. So we're going to go ahead and strip them all. Alright, so that's these on. So again, these two, we're going to go here. We're going to make sure that the one that's on the red is with the round connection right there. And the man's on the black. And then on these, we're going to put the red on the inside on the blacks and the other side. And then we'll plug these in, pushing down out of the way. That. And now we can put our lid on. So these I use a number 8 by 1/2 inch, but with a smaller head. And that's it. That's our top put together. Just a twist, and we're good to go. Now one last step. I like to put a tie wrap right here, just to keep this keep this wire where it's supposed to be. Put that tie wrap in there, and then you need to use the flush cutters to cut this off if you don't have a pair. They're totally smooth right here, so they cut this flush with that, so you're gonna have a little sharp tag in sticking off to cut PK. Without cut yourself on the tie wrap a few times, or you'll definitely need that. And so there you go. That's how that all goes together. So this switch gives you your direction. This is your on-off switch, and obviously the these. So here's our bottom piece out of the powder cover. This is the way the wheel comes. This is a rear wheel for a Razor E200. The sprocket on here is for a number 25 chain, which I'm not working. So the first thing you're gonna do is take the brake off. I don't need that. You're gonna have to change the sprocket out. So these are 8mm bolts. You replace it with this sprocket that I custom made. They're cut out of chromoly steel. So the little spacer that we took off the other side, I put on the side. Print these little spacers to go on. Yes, here. Trying to get it super tight. I just grab the lock nut. Burns. Next step is to clip the motor on. And the motor comes with the number 40 chain sprocket on it. That's the reason why I changed the sprocket one. I either had to have this sprocket be or this sprocket. A lot easier. This machine or whatever it's saying. So put the motor on. Alright, so put the motor on. I start these bolts. Just get these bolts started by hand. Now we got this back on. We're gonna run this wire through. I gotta put this one on first. On the end. Alright. And then we'll put the other one on the other side. Next it goes in the rubber. Steel. Rubber steel on first. On this one, we've set it up so that when red is on the right on this one, so on this one, the red needs to be on the left. That way the red goes right. Set this up, we're on the walks. But that's all good. Now I need to put a chain on. That, head it out. Gas and link apart. Starting those. Then this one, you gotta be real tall. Frame the motor. I'm grabbing. Then I'm gonna take my pit. You want me to make a mark right there. Where it's in the back tube. You keep it up. You can see. You can see it's marked right there. You can slide it past the mark just a little bit. Probably about a 6-8 minute or so. Let me jerk. I get that. So now we're a little heat on. Should be tight and good on. So this is really pretty tight. So now you've got all this. So I put it together. This together. And I don't have need tire supply right here. And I have plenty of and we test this heat. You hear the chain's kind of tight. Again, this is going to stretch the first time it gets used, so I'm not ready. Let me do this. So for those of you that do want to put one of these together, but don't have the ability to do the plasma cutting or the 3D printing, or don't want to have to take the time to source all the products, I'm going to put together a kit that contains everything that you need, other than the square tube and the basic tow bar stuff. So it'll include the motor mount plate on the motor, the sprocket that you need for the wheel, the 3D printed wheel spacer, the spacer for the tube for the bottom and top to go together, the 3 tube end caps for the bottom to cover up the open ends, the box set up for whichever kind of batteries you want to use, the mounting brackets, the control box with the little custom mounts for that, the reversing switch, the power switch if it's needed for the batteries that you have, the fuse holder, all the little grommets for the box and for the top and bottom piece for the wires to run through, the mounting bolts for the motor, any of the electrical connectors that you're going to need, the wire nuts and spade connectors and all that stuff, the plugs that you're going to need along with the pin spool. You're going to need a Molex crimper to be able to put those on. The wire for the top piece, the battery holders. These are DeWalt, but we can do whatever you need, so just choose whichever battery holders you want. The twist throttle, the other part of the handlebar, the spring pin for the 2 pieces to go together, and the chain. So this way, if you got the metalworking skills to be able to cut and weld everything, but you just don't have the 3D printer or the plasma cutter, or you don't want to take the time to source all this stuff out, because it can be kind of a pain to find it all. And a lot of it I have to buy in multi-packs, so it's a lot, you'll end up with more than you need. I'm going to put this on the website, so you can go to mooneymover.com and go into the store, and you'll see this listed in the products.